to Go, a 40-day journey to the never reached. I'm Brian Webb, here with Jeff Hardinsveld. And today we are looking at the first of these Go imperatives, go quickly. So Jeff, why don't you read the text for us there?
Okay, great. I'm going to start us off with the scripture today. I'm going to read Matthew 28, verses 1 through 7, and I'm reading from the English Standard Version. So here's what it says. Now after the Sabbath, toward the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning and his clothing white as snow. And for fear of him, the guards trembled and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen." And he said, "Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead, and behold, he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him. See, I have told you."
Yeah.
So we hear that go quickly almost immediately,
Yeah,
don't we, Brian?
and you know, when I started doing this study, that was the thing. That was probably the first word that grabbed me, right?
Of the goes, right?
Yeah. Is that there's an urgency to go.
Yeah.
And if you've read the devotionals at all, Chris Carter starts us out really brilliantly.
Yeah.
And he talks about how that there's two things the angel's saying to them, really. First, come and see.
Right.
That we can't go until we have personally experienced the power of the resurrection in our own life.
Right.
And it is that personal interaction with resurrection power that really gives us something to say.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously beyond that is that imperative to go quickly.
Yeah. You know, Brian, when we think about quickly, too, we live in this fast-paced world. Everything is moving at a fast pace, information, the places we need to be, etc. Just talk, a little bit about this idea of going quickly and, at what speed should we be moving at, in this fast-paced world?
Yeah. One of the things that it immediately notes afterwards is that the women ran. There was some quick movement, and when we think about going quickly, we think about, oh, I've got to do this.
Right.
I've got to do this now. One of the things about this commission we're involved in is that the people we're trying to reach are perishable.
Yeah.
No one lives forever. I talked about in my devotional, nobody has an expiration date.
Right.
But every person that you interact with is an eternal person. They'll spend eternity with God.
That's right.
Or they'll spend eternity separated with God. And we have this little finite window of opportunity in which we can try to affect people's eternal destiny.
Right.
So there's an urgency to our going, because if we get there in time, it's really good news.
Yeah.
Timothy Schmidt, in his devotional, he talked about an Indian mother who hadn't heard the gospel and offered her child as a sacrifice to a goddess, and the tragedy she felt. And the missionary showed up like 5 minutes afterwards, right?
Right.
So there's an urgency, because if we get there in time, we save lives.
Right.
If we don't, it's really not good news.
Right. Yeah.
Now the other factor to that is, nobody can run all the way through life in fifth gear.
Right.
So
it's so true.
Right. We're not going to run all the time. The women weren't going to run forever.
We're also limited, right? I mean, in terms of our speed and everything else. Yeah.
Right. And so that's one of the things that Chris Carter brought out in his devotional that was just brilliant, is that the word used for quickly refers to priority.
Really good.
So it's not necessarily pace.
Right.
But it's, does this going and telling people that Jesus has risen from the dead have priority in our life?
Yeah. One of the quotes from Chris Carter was, "It required years of marching in one direction while ignoring all distractions."
Yeah, and he's talking about his journey to becoming a missionary. In other words, it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
But that's that's the nature of this going.
Yeah.
And putting priority on it, is that we need to be engaged in it consistently.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need a sprint.
Right.
We need a pace that will keep us going for the long haul. So the question really that drives that is, okay, how do we keep that enthusiasm going?
Right.
We're all familiar with a person first comes to Christ, there's this enthusiasm. I'm going to tell my neighbors,
Right.
I'm going to tell my family, I'm going to tell everybody.
Right. Especially in the beginning, right? When they first get saved.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of studies about this. How long does it go before really everybody in their environment is a Christian, and so that pace slows way down? How do we maintain that?
Yeah.
And Brandon Powell, he really addressed that well in his devotional, where he's talking about the women. What happens a little bit further in the story is the women run to go see the disciples. Jesus meets them.
Right.
Right? So there's like nothing more urgent in the whole world than going and telling the disciples Jesus is alive.
Right.
But Jesus pulls them aside.
Right. So in other words, the angel is the one that tells them to go quickly, and then they meet Jesus along.
That's right. And
as they're running at 100 miles an hour to go tell the disciples.
Right. And Jesus says, hey, spend a little bit of time with me.
Yeah.
And it is that, Brandon brings that out so well.
Yeah.
It's that personal time with Jesus.
Yeah.
It's spending that unhurried time with Jesus that will allow the passion to remain, so that we can go in one direction without distraction.
Brian, there seems to be like so many different things about this aspect of go quickly. I'm sure, as our friends are watching this and now getting ready to interact with some questions, I just really feel like the concept of the harvest being perishable is something that causes an urgency.
It does.
I know there's an issue of speed, and yet there's all this also, what causes speed is the urgency. It was like an angel that said to the women to go quickly. So if an angel tells you to do something, you don't mess around. You really go for it. And so, here, even in our devotional and our concept of, go, a 40-day journey to the never reached, there is this urgency that, and this speed at which we need to move to reach those that in all of history have been waiting.
Right.
And apparently we've not gone fast enough or quickly enough.
Or far enough in one direction.
The marching in one direction.
Yeah.
So, I really hope and pray that, as you're interacting with this in your home group, you'll be considering now the harvest that's around you, the family members that are around you, the missions initiatives that are at your church that are asking you to give and to pray and to even maybe go to something beyond your border, something far enough. And so we've got to live with this urgency of getting the good news out, and yet what will keep us going will be meeting Jesus along the journey there.
That personal time with Christ.
Really glad you guys are joining us for Go, a 40-day journey to the never reached. God bless you guys as you study, and we'll probably see you next week or whenever you're meeting again to discuss the next Go imperative. God bless you.